Welcome to Thrive in Design, a podcast about making money in beautiful interiors as it relates to product-based businesses in the interior design industry. Each week, we'll discuss innovative strategies on how to approach product development and design sales in a shifting market. I'm your host, Nicole Lachey Ben. At Thrive in Design, we help interior product companies in crafting compelling online and offline go-to-market strategies, enabling them to enhance their brand visibility and revenue within the hospitality design segment. We're taking on new clients. If this podcast has been intriguing to you, let's chat about how our team can help you thrive in 2024 and beyond. Head to thriveindesign.co/contact. Welcome back for another episode of the Thrive in Design podcast. For a while now, I've been an advocate of building a personal brand online. I also think that there are so many benefits for companies to encourage their employees to build a personal brand and leverage social selling. That's why I'm super excited about today's guest, Stephanie Schwab, who I came across on LinkedIn talking about these very topics. As CEO of Crackerjack Marketing, Stephanie Schwab creates engaging digital marketing programs for exuberant lifestyle, tech, and education brands. Over the last 20 plus years, Stephanie has focused on social media, content marketing, and influence marketing, blending management consulting best practices with agency creativity. She is also the director of the digital marketing program at Harborspace, a high-tech university in Barcelona, Spain, and Bangkok, Thailand, where she teaches courses on fundamentals of digital marketing, social media, and content marketing, and starting and running an agency. Stephanie received her MBA in marketing and strategic planning from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and Stephanie lives in Barcelona, Spain. And when she is not working or teaching, she travels, plays board games with her teenager, knits, and cooks gluten-free meals, which we'll have to talk about after we record this. But welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's really a delight to be here.
Yes, I'm super excited for this conversation. So I always like to get a little bit of background information outside of your bio about yourself and your journey. So can you share with us about yourself, your journey in the digital marketing space, and what it's been like leading up to your role as the CEO of Crackerjack Marketing?
Yeah, well, it's been a long journey. I'm going to age myself very quickly here by saying I've been working in digital marketing since before the turn of the century.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a long time. I'm one of maybe the old guard, the OGs of digital marketing, that we were doing it at the very, very beginning when websites were just coming in vogue and companies were getting online. So I've been doing it a long time, seen so many changes in that time. As you know, digital marketing moves so fast. So it's been a very exciting, wild ride. And then I started my agency about 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago now. So,
oh my gosh, I can't even imagine all of the things that you've seen, especially over the last decade. I feel like digital marketing changes every month.
Yes.
So I can't even imagine from the turn of the century. You said you've been in digital marketing and had your company for the last few years.
Yeah.
So your expertise lies in creating digital marketing programs for B2B, tech, and lifestyle brands. So what drew you to those specific niches, and how have you seen them evolve in the digital landscape since you've been working in this field?
There's been, wow. I mean, if you just track like platforms and styles of marketing and, how we used to talk to customers before versus how we're talking to customers now, a lot has changed. I feel like some of the biggest changes, of course, are the platforms, with the rise and fall of various platforms. And, some of us remember MySpace and, it was such a big thing, and then it went away and it came back and then it really went away. And I feel like that's happening now with Twitter. I see an inevitable eventual fall with Twitter. None of our clients are on it anymore. People don't seem to really trust it. And brands, it's a terrible place for brands to be because you don't know what's going to be shown next to your content. So it's really like things like that happen, like these big shakeups. And then you think, oh my goodness, like what could change more than that, than losing Twitter from the landscape? Because that's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see the platforms come and go. I know I had a MySpace back in the day, and I was super obsessed with curating my top 8 friends. Right. And then creating my custom code, the little bit of code that I knew to customize the colors of my website and the music in my profile. So we've gone from MySpace coming and going, now Twitter, aka X, doing whatever it is that they're doing and trying to stay relevant, to having platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook who have been around for a while and don't seem to be going anywhere. Who knows? But as all of these platforms have evolved, especially with B2B, how have you seen B2B teams or sales teams or strategies kind of evolve with the coming and going of all of these platforms?
So LinkedIn's been the real consistency, I think, that the thread that holds B2B marketing together in a lot of ways. You know, most B2B companies have, of course, a blog and a good email list and, you know, a wonderful website with case studies. Like those are kind of staples of B2B marketing. But the platform that has not deviated for almost 20 years now has been LinkedIn. And so salespeople have been using it pretty consistently the whole time. Recruiters are starting to really understand that having their own personal presence helps them attract candidates. And I think now, especially kind of related to the demise of Twitter or X or how people are getting off of it, LinkedIn's become such an important platform for thought leadership generally, and especially for B2B because we don't have that many channels. So if you're a consumer brand, you could be on Instagram and you can be on Twitter. I could have been on Twitter, could still be on Twitter, could be on Pinterest. You know, there's a lot of places for a consumer brand, but not a lot of places for a B2B brand. And so I see LinkedIn as like the major constant that's been working for almost 20 years for most brands.
And a part of what you just said is thought leadership, which I think is super important for B2B sales or B2B marketing. So for yourself and your business, how do you approach using LinkedIn for your clients in building thought leadership, and what strategies have you found most effective?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've really done a huge shift this year for ourselves and for our clients. And that is that we've been doing social media for years, the 13 years that my company's been in existence. And before that in my other agencies. And so we've been running corporate LinkedIn pages for many, many, many years for our clients and for ourselves. And this year, 2023, I have shifted my own efforts as well as those of many of our clients from the corporate page, which still exists, and we're still building corporate pages and managing corporate pages, but doing more and more work for the individuals at the companies. And that's true for me too. And so like you found me on LinkedIn because I post to LinkedIn pretty much 5 days a week, not every week, but almost every week. And it's that people buy from people. People don't buy from nameless, faceless companies. Mm-hmm. And so when individuals are active on LinkedIn, and that's either the C-suite or the thought leaders, the subject matter experts, the salespeople, the recruiters, when those individuals have strong presences on LinkedIn, then magic happens for the company. It's just amazing.
Yes. And I've been saying this for a long time. So when I saw your content, I was like, yes, she gets it.
Yeah.
Because before the pandemic, I worked on different sales teams for interior product companies in the design industry for about a decade. And it was crazy because when I first started as a sales rep, in the manual of the company I was working for, they were like, do not use social media during work hours.
Wow.
It never made true from company to company that I went to up until the pandemic, right? So the pandemic hit, and I was like secretly using social media when even though they know me.
Everybody was.
Because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I need to connect with my clientele, and that's, helping me build relationships and ultimately helping me drive sales. But I think when the pandemic hit, all of these companies who had sales teams, especially in the design industry, which I focus on, they were like, oh my gosh, we need to connect online. Everybody get on LinkedIn, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, like do something, hold up a product. I think it's just so funny how like people have shifted to see the importance of it. So as you are working with, especially like sales teams or even leaders of a company that are looking to build their content or their personal brand online, what are some things that you guide people to do?
Yeah. So we first and foremost want people to understand that their presence is like having a personal landing page. Mm-hmm. And so people are going to come looking for them. People are going to find them through their content. And so we want to get their profiles up to speed first and foremost, really great banners, great headlines. Your headline is not your job title. Your job title is on the page someplace else. You don't need to put your job title in your headline. make it about who you serve, what you do, what you love to do, put something personal in there to give people a glimpse of your personality. So first we work on their profile. That's like the most important thing. And then we go from there to what kind of content are you creating? And what can you sustain? Can you sustain writing content 2 or 3 times a week, which is what we recommend? And what are your pillars of content? What do you think is going to resonate most for your audience? Plus, what do you like to write about? Those are kind of have to get those aligned a little bit. And what's your goal? Are you there because you want to just promote the company generally? Are you looking to recruit people? Are you looking to retain people? Are you looking to generate leads? Are you looking to generate partnerships? And your content will also be based on what your goals are. So that's where we start. Profile, content, goals.
Yeah. And does it ever become a challenge to get buy-in from the people that you're working with? Like, oh, I want to do it old school ways. Like, we can go back in person now. Like, I don't really need social media.
Yeah. I mean, certainly we run into clients or potential clients more often that are just like, do I really need this? And they often just don't become clients because they don't understand the value of it. And so you kind of have to be a little bit bought into this idea of people buy from people in order to want to expand your presence as an individual on LinkedIn. And, people buy from people, people hire people, you've got to feel like that's true. And frankly, the networking offline opportunities are fewer and fewer. So in some industries, people are seeing that and feeling the pinch. Maybe in others, they're not. But at least the people that are coming to us understand that online is the way to go.
Yeah, I think in my industry, people are going to start to feel that pinch a little bit more. I know, especially in the dynamic of, say, a designer is working on a project. Their salespeople that they're going to are all interior product companies that they're choosing the furniture, choosing the fixtures, choosing the fabrics and all that kind of stuff. I'm starting to see more of a generational gap between the two. So the designers are like millennials and Gen Z, and they love connecting online and through social media. And the salespeople at these interior product companies are all baby boomers and Gen X. So those are the people who are more resistant. But the gap is like, all right, baby boomers and Gen X, you gotta change your ways and embrace this digital age and digital landscape that we're in so that you can continue to succeed and be relevant and build those powerful connections. So one of the things that you also just mentioned was how you can use LinkedIn as a tool to like generate leads and also drive sales. Can you share a success story where this approach has resulted in some client wins?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm my own success story. I think that's, you have to be in it to understand it. And we've closed 2 pretty major contracts in the last 4 months because of my connections on LinkedIn, because people reached out to me. And we have 3 or 4 more in the pipeline. So, we practice what we preach, and it's been by far our best source of business. And our growth this year has been great because of it. For clients, our clients are regularly booking meetings. They are having other people, partners especially, say like, oh, I forgot, can we do this thing together? You popped up in my LinkedIn. And that's really frequent. We just had a client get a new job because of his LinkedIn presence. So that was very exciting, specifically because of his LinkedIn presence. And so, yeah, we're definitely seeing leads come in the door. Sales cycles still take longer now this year than they were last year. But it's kind of a warmer introduction when somebody's been following your content and reading about you. And so it's a much more natural way to come in than a cold call, for example. Like, it's way, way more effective than that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Even in this conversation that we're having right now, right?
Yep.
I love that. So your approach involves blending management consulting best practices with agency creativity. I loved how you included that in your bio. So break it down for us. Like, what does that exactly mean? How do you combine these unique skill sets to bring an advantage to your client?
Well, okay, back to before the turn of the century, which, it's true. I was a management consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers and a boutique consulting firm. So I've got this background, like after my MBA, that's what I went to go do. And I've got this background in, really specific and cohesive management frameworks and project management techniques that we can really apply to our marketing projects. Because I have that background and because my senior team all had corporate experience, like we can run a project like no one. It's like, we're really good at running a project. And I think a lot of agencies might not have that experience, might not see how a framework for a project or for a service would help, might not have the project management, really deep, many, many, many moving pieces project management experience, especially younger people. Honestly, I've got a lot of years on a lot of people, and there's an advantage to that too. So I think that combination of both having the really strong traditional grounding in management plus the marketing expertise and the years of doing it is a really powerful combination.
And is there ever a time, I know you have talked about LinkedIn in our conversation, is there ever a time that you're integrating different digital social media platforms with your client strategies?
Oh, for sure. So for all of our clients, we do some form of social media for them. There is not a single client in our roster that we aren't doing their social, either their company social or in rare cases, only their individual social. But for most of our clients, and our bread and butter really is about doing social media, a comprehensive social media strategy, and possibly other content marketing as well. So we may be running for a consumer company, we may be running their TikTok and their Instagram and their Facebook. And for a B2B company, it's their LinkedIn, most likely. But then we might also be doing lead magnets and landing pages and email marketing and blogs. So all of those things come into play for most of our clients.
Yeah. So let's dive deeper into that real quick, because the key word that you just said was strategy. I find a lot of my audience or people who I connect with in my industry, they think that social media content is just like posting every once in a while, or maybe posting a group picture at an event, or posting a selfie holding their products. So break down, what is strategy? And just give us the basics on what is strategy and why is that important?
Great. So this comes back to goals, right? So why are you on social? Why do you have a company presence on LinkedIn? Why are you personally on LinkedIn? Or why do you have a blog? Why do you have an email list? Like, what's the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? What's the company's vision? And then what are your more concrete goals? Like, what do you really want to do? And so if you understand that, then you start to say, oh, okay, so how do I attract people to my brand kind of at the top of the funnel? Funnel marketing is an important concept in marketing. The idea that first you're attracting people to your brand, people who might not know about you, and you want to get them to know you a little bit. Then you want to pull them a little bit farther down into your funnel and get them to like you. And then you pull them a little farther down and they start to trust you, and then they're going to buy from you. So when you're trying to figure out what to do on social, well, social for the most part is an awareness generating kind of thing. It's where people start to, like you and I, start to know each other just a little bit through social media. And, we started to like each other a little bit. And then, we've now spoken and now we trust each other. So we've pulled down the funnel together pretty quickly. But for other brands, you need to spend a lot of time and effort getting the awareness, the broad group of awareness in place. And then some of your social might pull them farther down. Maybe you're offering some kind of a freebie through your LinkedIn or through your Facebook, or, a coupon through Instagram. And that's bringing them a little bit farther down the funnel. And then you can go to the bottom of the funnel if you're selling online. But for B2B, mostly the bottom of the funnel is happening at the salesperson level, or the sales level somehow. So the strategy is like figuring out, where does social media fall in these parts of the funnel, and how are you going to best use it? And what kind of content is going to attract those people at the right time?
Exactly. And I feel like most people stop in that brand awareness part and forgetting that there's other steps along the sales funnel, and that you can integrate different strategies and social platforms to be a part of those steps. So thank you so much for breaking that down.
Yeah, I just want to add, like, posting one time on Instagram is not going to pull anybody into you, right? And you, like Instagram, you need to post like 4 to 5 times a week. LinkedIn, you should be posting 2 to 3 minimum times per week. So like social media is not a one and done thing. You really have to sustain it.
Exactly. Create that consistency for sure.
Yes.
Okay. So part of what we talked about too are platforms coming and going, and there are always emerging trends, especially within digital marketing. So are there any trends that you've seen come about that you are currently excited about?
Well, this trend of people being people online, I think, is really cool. And I think that that's really just hit harder since the pandemic, this need to really connect and network together and be more real, be more sincere, less of a, fake Instagram kind of presence. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. I like this realness that's happening right now. So there's new platforms like Be Real that are really very personal platforms and really people get to see more of your personality. And I think that's quite fun. So that's one trend for sure that I'm appreciating very much. From a content point of view, I think value-filled content on any platform is becoming more and more important. Having a billboard, like just putting your company stuff out there is not effective. It hasn't been effective for a long time, but it's especially not effective right now. And so having content that's value-filled, that's really engaging your reader, that makes them want to answer a question or talk back to you in some way is really where it's at.
Yeah. And I was actually just reading a book on storytelling last night, and it was talking about like telling a brand story and how it shouldn't be like a one-way conversation or one-way monologue of the brand just like making announcements, but being aware of like, okay, who is the target audience that you're talking to and what is a two-way conversation that you're having? And that kind of goes into what you're saying right now. Like, how is your audience going to engage? What questions are you asking? What are they answering? And all that sort of thing. So other than creating content that's not valuable, right, or one-way communication, are there any other challenges that companies should be aware of?
This is something I just wrote about on LinkedIn the other day. There's this tendency when sales aren't great, and we know that in 2023, sales have been challenging for a lot of companies. There's the tendency to say, oh, we can't spend on marketing. Yeah. And I think it's the exact opposite. And if sales aren't great, there's nothing you should be doing more important than spending money on marketing. And, making sure that your brand has a presence. And especially if your competitors are also spending less, like, great, take advantage and get out there with, creating more content, which of course has a cost. And, making sure that your social is really up to date, making sure that your blog's up to date and SEO optimized, making sure that you're working your email list. And then paid advertising is really important, especially in a downturn. So now is not the time to spend less on marketing. Now is the time to spend more. Right. But marketing needs to be self-funding. If it's not over in the big picture driving ROI for you, then maybe you're doing the wrong kind of marketing, because marketing should be an ROI driver.
For sure. Well, Stephanie, you shared so much today, and we probably only heard the tip of the iceberg in terms of all of this wonderful information. But thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your journey in the digital marketing space and giving my listeners some advice on how they can put strategy in place for their digital marketing efforts to gain more leads, more sales, and ultimately have an ROI for their digital marketing strategy. So if somebody wants to connect with you online, what's the best way they can connect with you?
On LinkedIn, definitely the best place. It's linkedin.com/in/Stephanie Schwab. So I'm pretty easy to find there.
Right. Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this week on Thrive in Design. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Thrive in Design. And for more strategies on how your product company can innovate in the interior design industry, head to training.thriveindesign.co. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to create captivating content. See you next week.